G'day peeps, how we going? I hope you're well. This week's blog coming at you. It's been a tough one actually this week. I've been really thinking and praying about it. Last week's blog was amazing. Loads of great feedback in convos and also from the web as well. Keep that up. I really enjoy your feedback. I'm really enjoying the fact that the blog is making an appearance in youth times when we're chatting and in discussions. That's awesome to see. Keep that up. But this week, what are we talking about? Well, I sort of want to rehash probably two blogs. One is the blog on Do you know God's love? And the other one is Are you hungry for God? That's the sort of thought. But I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm saying, are you connected? Are you connecting with God? We're going into a season of holiday. Tag is coming to a close. Reaction is closing for the school year end. And we're in our summer holidays. You wouldn't know it by the weather. But the weather has produced an interesting insight. Pastor D shared on Sunday about how he had a vision of the fact that God is raining into our lives. Raining, raining, raining. But what we do is we grab an umbrella and we put up an umbrella. And we hide under the umbrella because it's what good British people do. I was struck by this the other day. As we were walking home, it was sunny. I was in shorts and a t-shirt, but I was carrying an umbrella. Because in summer, you never know. The weather is so changeable. And that morning it had poured, but that afternoon was sunny. And so I was carrying this umbrella to protect myself from the rain. But Pastor D's vision is that we do that when God is raining into our lives. We get worried and we put up an umbrella. And that disconnects us from the love of God, from the grace of God, from the hope of God raining into our lives. In this season, as we go into our summer, are we connecting with God? Because I think it takes more than just rocking up to church on a Sunday. It takes more than listening to my blog. It takes more than going to Tag. It takes this almost everyday sort of effort to connect with God. We've got to wake up in the morning and, try to say, well, good morning, God. How are you? Get connected, get hooked in. Look for God in everyday life. I mean, the Bible's really full of stuff about this, like Jesus said, I am the bread of life. Come to me all who are thirsty. The Psalms say, so as the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. The story of the woman at the well, the woman who is in sin, who comes and Jesus is there and he says, come to me and I will give you water that you never have to replenish. And she's like, oh, I want some of that. I never want to have to come back to this well again. Because he was talking about a spiritual well inside of her, which would feed her for the rest of her life. Are we connecting with God in the everyday, in the mundane, in everything that we do? Because I think this is something for our summer holidays. Because a lot of the programs that we run are shut. And there might be this feeling of disconnect. What I don't want is you to disconnect from God over the holidays. I want you to continue to grow and continue to connect. And there are so many ways of doing this. Of course, the glib answers are read your Bible and pray. That is really important. The other thing is to really connect with God in the spiritual realm. Is to really walk through every day going, where is God working today? What is God doing in my life today? What is God doing in this minute? Because I guarantee God is there, the Spirit is there working in your life. But we often miss the work of the Spirit. We often miss the work of God because we're distracted. We're not connected. We're distracted. So that's the blog, I think, for this week. How connected are you to God? I want you to think that through over the summer. What is my connection to God, if any? And how do I live with Him daily? How do I walk with Him daily? It's not just about following the rules or getting the right tick boxes. But it is about connecting with Him. And as you connect, you go deeper in relationship. the thing I like to talk about is how my wife and I, when we were separate, we were into different things, but now we've married and connected and we're interlinked now. Our lives are connected. We kind of now live this life of similarity. You know, Nick wasn't into sport. She now loves sport. She loves playing sport. She loves, we're doing Insanity together. She runs, she swims. Before we got married, not so much. I think the last time she'd played sport before we were married was like years before in primary school. And I'm kind of the same. As she's influenced me, I like going to bands and doing things like that, which is something I never did before. See, as we connect with God, God kind of almost rubs off on us and we become more and more Christ-like as we get connected and into a deeper relationship with Him. It's well worth it. The journey with God is amazing, but we have to connect. So this summer, I want you to think this through. How am I going to connect with God? How am I going to keep growing in God? How am I going to keep walking down the road with God? These are some questions I want you to think through over the next week as you head towards August. All right, guys, I'll leave it there. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week.